What's going on, folks? Happy Tuesday. Andrew Torba here, co-founder and CEO of Gab. Hopefully you had a great day. I went out and brush hogged the field today. I have a fox that is terrorizing my ducks. We lost 2 ducks so far. One of our ducks was killed by the snapping turtlets in the pond. The other one, we believe, was killed by a fox the other day. So I brush hogged some of the top field so that I could sit in the stand and see if I can capture that fox that's killing my livestock. Allergies are a little bit messed up tonight, so bear with me. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of news as always. Facebook gave Russian internet giant a special data extension. Facebook and Russia, the left is going to lose their minds on this one. Let's see what's going on. Since March, when news broke that the political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica used a Facebook app to amass data on as many as 87 million people without their consent, the social networking giant has been forced to repeatedly answer for how it has given away user data and who it's given that data to. In the immediate wake of the scandal, Facebook rushed to defend itself in a blog post, saying that in 2014 it changed an element to its API to prevent apps from collecting data on their users' friends, as well as Cambridge Analytica app did. Facebook has since specified that while it announced this change in 2014, apps that had already had access to the people's friends' data continued to have access until May 2015. Then, in more than 700 pages of written responses delivered to the House Energy and Commerce Committee late last month, Facebook acknowledged that some apps had access for up to 6 months longer to allow them to come into compliance with new rules. So it's interesting to see how this story just keeps evolving as more and more information starts to drip, drip, drip. Facebook is just getting hammered by the press here. And again, I've talked about this in the past. There's a reason that the press does not like Facebook. There's a reason that the press is going after Facebook. It's because they're dependent on Facebook. Their revenue, their distribution of their content, their livelihood now depends on Facebook, and they don't like that. So they want to see Facebook fail. They want to regain control of their distribution directly to their audiences without having to rely on Facebook in order to do so. And I'm sure that these recent changes that Facebook made to their newsfeed algorithm last January, which, by the way, was purposely designed to impact President Trump specifically, right? His page alone lost about 45% of engagement after this newsfeed change. But you probably have noticed that you've been seeing less brands, less pages that you like show up in your newsfeed because of this change and after this change. So they're only showing you stuff from your friends and your family, and of course ads, which that's where they make their billions of dollars from. So you're still going to see those. Don't think you're not going to be seeing those anytime soon. So what's going on with this Russian situation here? According to Facebook, Mail.ru was given a 2-week extension to wind down a feature on 2 messaging apps that enabled users to see their Facebook friends list and message with people who also had the Mail.ru apps. During the extension, at least, the app only had access to people's friends lists, not any information about their friends' likes or their interests. And yet, long before that extension was in place, Facebook says that Mail.ru ran hundreds of apps on the platform, all of which operated under Facebook's old rules, which did allow the app developers to collect the user's friends' data. Some of those apps began operating as early as 2009. So it appears that this data scandal that has been going on with Facebook, which really should not even be a scandal, this is how this has worked for years, and all of a sudden, because Cambridge Analytica worked with the Trump campaign and because they got access to tens of millions of Facebook accounts, the data of tens of millions of Facebook accounts, which they then likely used for ad targeting, among other things, this is now a big scandal. Now, if Hillary Clinton had won the election and used social media to win the election and used Facebook to win the election and used Twitter to win the election, these tech companies would be praised up and down, just as they were when President Barack Obama did the same thing back in 2008 and in 2012. The difference now is that President Trump who by all means is a populist candidate, a candidate of the people, used these tools of Silicon Valley to win, to get his message out, to break the conditioning, to break through the noise of the mainstream news narrative, which is why we're seeing this pushback by the media against Facebook, against Twitter, against big tech in general. And that is why we're starting to see big tech. And by the way, Facebook is now facing a fine. This goes to the next story here. This is all kind of connected here today. Facebook is now facing a fine from the UK over this Cambridge Analytica scandal. Moving on, this is now why all of these companies are fighting back against fake news, are making these algorithm changes, are purging bots, are doing all of these things to try to take back control, because they don't want another President Trump to be elected. They don't want him to be reelected in 2020. They don't want another President Trump to ever happen ever again, another populist candidate. They want to stop other populist candidates that are rising up around the world, across Europe, etc., in the UK, everywhere. This is not just limited to the United States. It's happening all across the world. This populist uprising of the people that is happening, being powered completely by big tech, by the tools that big tech, the distribution that big tech has built up. And of course, none of this was a problem. These companies, these services have been around for over a decade. It was totally fine when Barack Obama, when Justin Trudeau of Canada, all of these progressive, far left people used these services to win and to get their message out. It was totally okay. But now we have populists on the right and nationalists on the right that are using these tools and doing the same exact thing. And big tech is scrambling. The media is scrambling. These people are in total meltdown mode, trying to get control. So what we're seeing now is this fight against fake news, and they're bringing this narrative back up. They started this narrative immediately after the 2016 election, and now it seems that as we approach the midterms, the 2018 midterms in the US and other elections globally, they're starting to hammer on this again. Facebook runs a full-page ad in Indian newspapers to fight fake news. Facebook has been under fire in India following a string of lynchings that appear to have prompted by false news spread on WhatsApp. It's become such an epidemic that the Indian government has demanded something be done. For now, Facebook's solution involves running ads in local newspapers explaining how to spot fake news. According to Reuters, the full-page ads began running in key Indian newspapers on Tuesday as part of an educational program that will expand to other outlets around the country over the coming week. You can see a photo of the ad below. Together, we can fight false information. And they're teaching us how to fight back against fake news. Incredible. This also comes just a day after it was announced that YouTube is going to start cracking down on fake news and back authoritative sources, aka mainstream media outlets that are pushing the establishment, progressive approved agenda and narratives. Cite to promote videos and articles by vetted sources among a rash of conspiracy theories. YouTube is investing $25 million in journalism on its platform, focusing on helping news organizations produce online videos and changing its site to better support trusted news providers. As well as this investment, which will be partly used to fund a working group to spearhead news product features, the company is changing how the site works to make authoritative sources readily accessible. So what essentially YouTube is becoming here is cable 2.0. They don't like that individual independent journalists or independent media outlets or alternative media outlets have a say. They don't like that their narratives are beating out the mainstream media narratives. They don't like that their ideas are beating out the mainstream media narratives. Again, it's all about control. Since when is YouTube, since when is Twitter, since when is Facebook a news organization? These companies were always technology platforms, free for any organization, any news organization, or any individual for that matter, to become a news organization themselves, to let their voice and their ideas permeate through the established order of what we're told is news and what we're told is reality. That is now being broken apart. It's all about reining in the control. Okay, and this is going to continue to happen. This is not going to go away. They're going to continue pushing the censorship. They're going to continue pushing these authoritative rules, these ambiguous rules, these subjective rules. So what else is going on here? We believe in quality journalism. We believe quality journalism requires sustainable revenue streams, that we have a responsibility to support innovation in products and funding for news. Incredible. Well, why didn't you care about this, YouTube, over the last decade that you've been in existence? Actually, longer. Today, we're announcing steps that we're taking with Google News Initiative to support the future of news in online video, and product features we've been working on to improve the news experience at YouTube. Unbelievable. Let's see what else is going on here. Many of their solutions involve temporarily prioritizing other sources over videos. Authoritativeness is essential to viewers, especially during fast-moving breaking news events. So we've been investing in product features. After a breaking news event, it takes time to verify, produce, and publish high-quality videos. Journalists often write articles first to break the news rather than produce videos. That's why in the coming weeks in the US, we will start providing a short preview of news articles in search results. So you're on YouTube, you're searching for video content, and they're going to push a news article from CNN, which they deem to be an authoritative news source. And if CNN gets it wrong, which they more often than not do, that's fine. That's totally fine with YouTube, because CNN has room to fail. They have room to propagate fake news. They are a, quote, trusted source because YouTube says so, apparently. Incredible. They're going to bury the independent journalist who's on the ground at the breaking news event, actually there covering it, recording what is actually happening live, and they're going to put CNN's narrative above that. And it's not even a video, it's going to be an article. Unbelievable. They're also using Wikipedia leaks, of all things. Wikipedia, of all things, as a source. Like, even leftist professors in college tell students to not cite Wikipedia as a legitimate source. And here we have YouTube citing Wikipedia links as a legitimate source to, quote, crack and fact check fake news. What an incredible time to be alive. And it's so obvious what's happening. It's so obvious that these people want control. It's so obvious that they are losing control and they know it. And they're trying to rein it back in. Moving on to the title of today's stream, Twitter is escalating its war on trolls. Why isn't it working? Slate.com, not the best source, but we'll dive in and see what argument they're trying to make here. Twitter has been suspending 1 million fake or suspicious accounts per day in recent months, the Washington Post reported last week. That's more than double the rate at which it was suspending accounts in October, and it could dent the size of Twitter's user base. 70 million accounts they've deleted in the last 60 days or something like this. Banning up to 1 million accounts a day. That's a lot of accounts, folks. And these bots, most of these bots have been around for years, and they're just now addressing this problem. Now, of course, we get a quote from Del Harvey, a Twitter executive. Free expression doesn't really mean much if people don't feel safe. If you don't feel safe on Twitter, sign off. Use the block button. Keep on scrolling. It's words on a screen. Unless someone is actually threatening physical violence, unless they're threatening to come to your residence and do physical harm to you, which is unacceptable, that is not free expression. Unless they're doing that, keep scrolling. Block them. Mute them. Hey, ignore it. Hey, sign off the internet for a little bit. Take a break. No, this is their excuse for deleting millions of accounts. This is their excuse for suspending alternative voices, political dissidents, people that they politically disagree with. This is their excuse for shadow banning. This is their excuse for hiding troll replies in threads. They want to keep people safe. You want to trust Big Brother Twitter to keep you safe on the internet from the meanie pants words that are on the screen, right, folks? But it's not as though Twitter just started zapping accounts yesterday. Even suspending 500,000 a day as it did in 2017 is staggering. Let's see what's going on here. Is Twitter turning the tide on fake accounts with its latest campaign, or is it fighting an unwinnable battle? Actually, it might be both. Twitter has been long accused of not doing enough to protect its users and keep its platform clean. The accusers, including its own former CEO, Dick Costello, who said, quote, "We suck at dealing with abuse and trolls on the platform, and we've sucked at it for years." Incredible. Let's keep scrolling here. I'm not seeing what their point is. What is your point here, Slate? At its core, Twitter is really hard to police. It's both anonymous and public, a combination that seems to bring out the worst in internet users. Just try venturing into Reddit's shadier corners or moderating a media website's online comment section. I've suggested in the past that if Twitter really wants to make a dent in its abuse problem, it has to depreciate anonymous accounts by default. So this is something that many journalists have been pushing for, is to remove anonymous accounts and make Twitter basically the new Facebook, where you have to verify your identity, you have to use your real name in order to use the platform. Of course, Twitter Inc. knows that this would effectively kill the platform because the majority of their most popular accounts, some of the best ideas, some of the best content comes from anonymous accounts. Why? Because in order for many people to speak freely, in order for many people to express themselves, they have to remain anonymous to avoid the online witch hunt mob that will try to get them fired, that will go after their family, that will dox them, all this stuff for having a different political opinion, for making a joke that they don't like, for hurting their feelings, any number of reasons, right? So this is Slate's argument, is remove the anonymous accounts from Twitter and you're going to solve the abuse problem. Well, no, you're not, because there's still abuse happening on Facebook as well. At some point, with Twitter devoting even larger teams of humans to dealing with abuse, honing algorithms to quiet the trolls. I love their use of language here, to quiet the trolls. No, to censor the trolls, to shadow ban the trolls. What the hell is a troll? How are they defining a troll here, right? And suspending 1 million accounts a day, the company's critics may be forced to acknowledge that the main problem is no longer a lack of effort or ingenuity on Twitter's part. The main problem is Twitter's fundamental structure. So the main problem with Twitter is Twitter itself. And when that time comes, we'll have to either accept a certain level of sketchiness as the price of the global public square, or demand that Twitter change its core workings and become even more like Facebook, which requires users to go by their real names. Interesting. Twitter will never do this because it would effectively destroy the platform. If they do, it's going to be phenomenal for Gab, because all the anonymous accounts will immediately leave the platform and come over to Gab. So Twitter, please do this. Remove anonymous accounts, make everybody use their real name, destroy yourself. It would be hilarious. Please, make our year. Go ahead and do that. Anyway, folks, that's it on the news side. As always, this show is brought to you by Gab, the free speech social network. We're fighting to build a people-powered alternative to big social. There are no other choices. You have the illusion of choice. You either use Silicon Valley products or you use nothing. Right? We hope to change that. We hope to build a people-powered solution that defends individual liberty. We treat you like adults. We give you the tools to create and shape your own experience, and defends free expression for everybody, even with opinions that we don't necessarily agree with, that we find horrid. But as long as it's legal free expression, as long as you're abiding by our common sense guidelines, which really are no different than what Twitter's were 5+ years ago, we're fighting to build that alternative. Join us. And today, actually, we just released a new update to our Android app. Now, of course, you can't get our Android app on the Google Play Store because it's been removed for quote-unquote hate speech, which, of course, you can find across Twitter, across Facebook, across Reddit, pretty much anywhere on the internet. But for some reason, both Twitter and Apple have singled out Gab and have forcibly removed us and or rejected us from both of their app stores. Now we're going to make another attempt. It's been about a year since we've made an attempt to get back in those app stores. We're going to make another attempt. We have a lot of ideas. We crowdsourced a lot of ideas. We have a lot of engineers in our community that have reached out and offered to help us with this. So we're going to make another attempt. But until then, you can install the Android app directly on your Android device from this link right here. We just put out a new update today. We're working on our iOS app. We started from scratch. Short trick on iOS though, for now, open up Safari, click the share button when you're logged into Gab, click add to home screen, and that will actually add an icon to your iOS home screen so you can access Gab right away. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Remember to speak freely. Have a great night.